Good morning, Sean.
Good morning, Steve.
How are you doing today?
Fine, thanks. You?
Good. Thanks for coming in. Today we're basically training you in regards into helping students that are blurting out. It's part of my course of parent and staff training. Good morning, Daniel. Thank you that you're here today. And so basically this scenario is a teacher in a high school classroom with a concern of a student is unpredictable and frequent, loud, inappropriate verbal outbursts. So we're going to talk about that for a moment, but also too we're going to conclude, and Daniel, hope you don't mind, we actually have this in our class, so we're going to show you some things that I use already with an individual. So first of all, whenever we do something, I always like to go by a principle as a safeguard for myself and also for you as a training, and that is called the core ethical principles. So if you want to follow along, okay, just before you do that, just so that you're hydrated enough, there's a bottle of water for you. There's a couple candies.
Thanks.
Okay. Also, is the lighting good for you?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Good. Is it? How about the temperature?
Yeah, it's not
It's
too
good?
hot, not too cold.
Okay. So let's go through these here. So this is always a safeguard I always use for myself and for the people that are being trained. So first of all, we're not doing any harm to anybody. Okay. Second one is we are respecting autonomy. So we're going to use names today, but they're not real names. Okay. Is it benefiting others? So for instance, are we doing something so we get the benefit out of it? For instance, you want to take somebody to 67's hockey game. Are you actually taking it because that person wants to go, or are you doing it because you want to go because that's your favorite team? Okay. Is it being just? Okay. Is there just cause for what you are doing? Being faithful. So if you say to a parent or parents or the student that you're going to be there at a certain time, be there. Okay. The other one is according to dignity. Okay. We need to respect the individual. All right. That's why we're going to use scenarios, but there are kids' names that we're going to be using, but they're not the real kids, or they're not the real names, I should say. And are we treating others with care and compassion? Are we treating them as we would want to be treated? Next one is accepting accountability. So if you're doing this, I'm expecting you to be mature and you're accepting accountability, and we need you to fill out a document here that we're going to talk about shortly. So that's a big thing because it's going to benefit the student. And the last one is pursuit of excellence. We want to do things so it benefits the individual, and we're advocates for them, but also too that when you do up your report, it's done with excellence. Okay. So first of all, I want to show you this here. This is called a functional assessment observation form. So what I would do in the scenario with this teacher is I would ask the teacher or the EA in the class if they could use this form, and what it talks about is when is the blurting out taking place? Okay. And so what you're doing on the left-hand side, you're writing down the times, and then under the predictor, okay, there's a few categories there. First one here, it says, is it a demand? Are they blurting out for a demand or for a request? Is it a difficult task? Is it during transition, interruption? Is it, are they alone? Do they feel insecure? And then over here, you can get, is another area, and these are perceived functions. And for instance, is it attention seeking? Is it denying an item? Is it self-stimulation? So once we get to, once you do that observation, you're able to determine what is happening. Now I used this last year with a student, and the student was blurting out half-hour windows, and it was like 27 times those windows. And what we found out, it was always a half hour before snack or break. And when we sat around the round table and talked to the clinical people, social worker, and the doctor and all that, they were actually going to increase his meds. But when they seen this, we found out what was actually happening. He never ate breakfast at home. He was hungry. And so what happened just before break time, he was getting really hungry. He was blurting out. So what we did in that case, we ended up giving him snacks, yogurt, breakfast bars, and his time went from 27 every half hour down to about 5. Okay, drastically dropped. But doing this form was valuable. So I would do that first of all to see when is the individual blurting out. That's number one. The other thing I would encourage doing is the teacher's asking us to help the student to stop doing it. Okay, Maybe so we need to invest in or look at what's called energy burners, I call them. And I got a few of them here. And one is you tearing a telephone book. Maybe there's something that the child, maybe there's a sensory thing going on inside. Maybe it's the noise that's around the room. Maybe they don't feel comfortable about a task. So they're getting angry, and with them getting angry, they're blurting out. So what I do, or what I would suggest, is just have a chair or wherever they're sitting, get them a telephone book and get them to start pulling in. That way, they're focused on doing that, and they're also burning their energy. Another one is a hand gripper. Here you go, you can try this one here. And so what I would suggest is that you have the individual do it like 14 times in each hand. And you teach them there to squeeze it, hold. Let go, squeeze it, hold. And you know, you get them to do that 2-3 times. Here, I'll take that back in case you want to take that to your class. Okay. The next one is the core balancer. Here, you actually know, here, you want to try this one? Come on, let's get up and do this one. Okay, so once again, these are things that are going to distract them, but also it burns off some energy. So you can just stand on it, okay? And then you can kind of balance yourself. You see, you're pretty good at that, okay? So what I would do, an added step is just try doing a squat now, okay? There you go. You never knew this was a gym class too, right? But do you see how all of a sudden you gotta be focused on that? What happens then, it takes your attention away from blurting out to doing this, okay? So it's going to minimize the blurting out in the class, which means the teacher's going to be more focused on teaching the kids in class, okay? And then if they're really good, you can give them a weight or something that they can do that with also, okay? Now while you're standing up, this is another good one here too. This is called leg band speedster, okay? So what it is, I'll give you one. I'll give you the easy one there. I don't want to put you on the spot that much. So put this around your legs, just below your knee, okay? And there you go. Put your left foot forward and your right foot behind you, okay? And then what I would do, I would have a timer, and what you have to do is jump, and then your left foot will go back and your right foot will go forward. So you're going like this, okay? Exactly. And what you do it for 30 seconds. You can do it as quickly as you can. So once again, you're burning off energy, but also too, you're focused on what you're doing there. And actually, these bands are really good because we got different strengths, okay? And but also too, you can use them on the core balancer, okay? Good. Thank you for that. Okay. Another good thing that we use is fitness yoga cards. So basically, the student would take out a card. We'd have a mat for them. Most classrooms have them, and they would go ahead and pick a yoga card, and they would do it. Okay. Once again, it's something that it challenges the student, but also it takes the focus off the blurting, and then it puts it on what they're doing. That way, it's quiet where the student is. The teacher's able to go ahead and teach. Okay. Another game is called matching cards. So what happens is that you put the cards on their table, and they have to turn over 2 cards at a time and see if they can match them. It allows them to use their hippocampus part of the brain for memory, and so it gets them stimulated in focusing on that kind of stuff. And once again, it's quiet for the class. Another good technique that is really good, if you can follow me up here now, is this is called the volcano chart. Okay, so in this case here, I would do this with the whole class if there's blurting out. I wouldn't pinpoint, let's use Johnny right now. I wouldn't pinpoint Johnny right now and say, this is only for Johnny. I would introduce this to the whole class, and what it is, we write down what the problem. The students are blurting out. And then what I would do is, why is it a problem and what can I do about it? Then the first person I would ask is, Johnny, why is it a problem when you're blurting out? And you would use sticky notes. In this case here, I just wrote it on the board here, okay? For instance, this is rude, it hurts my feelings, I can't concentrate. And then you would also ask the class some solutions. What can I do about it? Maybe he puts on, maybe he's allowed to listen to some music with the headphones with a low iPad. Maybe he's able to get a book and read it while he's a little bit antsy. Maybe he doesn't quite understand his work that he has to do. Maybe he is hungry, okay? Once again, when you do that functional assessment, you'll realize when things are happening, and then you turn around and you can help him out. What can I do? Maybe he needs to go get something. Maybe he needs to go for a walk. Come on back over here. And that's my timer there. And that was planned that way because one of the great things I find is that with a great number of students now is when they're given a task to do, say they're doing, I'm going to use the example, maybe they got to do, like in our class, we have to do 12 prodigies, okay? We have students that will get really antsy about it, just want to leave the class, but what we do, I give them a timer for 3 minutes, allow them to walk in the hall, and when it beeps, they come back in. And what we do 3 prodigies, take a walk, 3 prodigies, take a walk. But by doing this, it builds trust between the individual, the student, and myself, but also too gives them that time to kind of burn off a little bit of energy. Do you have any questions so far?
No, I think I'm following you.
Okay, all right. Now, the other thing to do is, I'm going to mention 6 things, okay, that's really good to do, is tell students that blurting out in the classroom is a problem, okay? Another a good thing would, and it's good, like we have in our class today, we have our collaborative problem solving discussion with our class, and one of the things that we could do in their class is read books about blurting out, and I'll mention 3 of them. My mouth is a volcano. What were you thinking? It's hard to be a verb. Another thing is to create a volcano, or better word for that is an anchor chart, what we looked up on the board. The next one is to revisit the anchor chart. If you put that up first thing in the morning, there's nothing wrong with during transition time. Hey, let's talk about this now. Stop the whole class and just blurring out. Wait, what can we do about this class? Maybe even have the class say, hey, Johnny, I'm trying to concentrate, but you're blurting out. Can you please stop? Hold them accountable, okay? And next thing is provide structure for the whole group discussion. Once again, when we have a discussion today, we set the perimeters for the discussion, okay? I take the approach of we are a team here, and the whole team wins or the whole team loses. And the next thing to do is write it out. Our students today are very visual, and we can write it on the board. We can get them to use their Chromebook, and they can write a paragraph or 2 about this whole topic. And then also we're able to communicate it, put it up on the smart board there, and put it out there about our anchor chart. And it'd be very useful. So, do you think you're ready?
Yeah.
Any questions?
No, I think I'm good. Where did you get all that stuff?
These things here, a lot of it is on Amazon, and because you're so good, this here I found really good is a hand massagers for sensory, and because you've been so good as a trained, somebody getting trained, I'm going to allow you to use it so you can release your stress. Okay, just roll it on your arm or your leg is fantastic, and okay. But no, a lot of these things here I just picked up on Amazon. As I went around different classes, seeing what people use, that's where I started, and I build up my own tool chest of things. Any other questions?
I think I'm good. Thanks.
Good. Now, if I set it up with the teacher, and you're in there doing the observation, can I trust you with this?
Yes.
And if you have any questions, you have my number, you can give me a shout.
Yeah.
Okay? Good?
Yes.
All right. Daniel, thank you for this time. Good one.